How's it going, guys? It's your boy Ignit here, back on the 5-9 Gaming channel, and today we're going to be talking about Dokkan Global. New producer is here. The old one left, the new one came in, and today I'm joined by Gale Diet.
Hello,
Say hello,
everybody.
Gale Diet.
Hello.
Mass
It's
Ningen.
me.
Yo.
No Layer.
What's up?
And Troco.
Hello.
Alright, Gale, go ahead, take it away.
All right, so we obviously had the Dokkan now about an hour ago at the time of recording. We obviously were hoping for a lot more information, considering we obviously got Super 17 early on the JP Twitter account, and then like a couple of minutes right before the Dokkan now, we got on the global Twitter. Not really much happened in the Dokkan now. We just saw that the easy A's for Giru, Grandpa Gohan, Trunks, whatever, and Pan were coming, B-Pan that is. Then Super 17's information. But the biggest news for global players, I'd argue to say, is probably the fact that Sho, the producer that came, I think joined the team on Saiyan Day 2020. That was when we saw a lot of changes in the Dokkan team. Even I think the overall director on the JP side also changed at the time. So Sho has officially left Dokkan. This we don't know exactly when this must have happened. Based on their recording, they said that Saiyan Day was a bit like a few weeks ago, so we assume it was probably conducted in April or end March, early April. This change must have happened. But we do have a new producer in the form of Koro. She has immediately come in, and based on the way she spoke at the in the Dokkan Now recording, effectively it seems to be that it was her idea to do this whole dual celebration with JP. So, you know, all things said and done, even though a lot of it has been rocky in terms of like pushing out information on the social media, like for example Goku and Vegeta came out, their information on global came out a day or two later on the Twitter accounts when they released about 2 days before that. But for the most part, it has been well appreciated. You know, the fact that we've gotten a big celebration like Golden Week at the same time as JP. A lot of the stuff has come out on global, like the new, obviously the ESBR stages that have been wanted for nearly 9 months, and a lot of stuff. So, Nolar, what do you think about this introduction, and how has it affected global, or how will it affect global?
All right, so for you guys know, I play a lot of gachas, and I know a lot about the development and gaming history. So when they recorded that, which you rightfully assumed was like sometime in March, that's not when she took over. Sho took over. That was the announcement of it. And as you know, that transition must have happened earlier, like February, January, even maybe as far back as December, right? Because the whole point is when you make that announcement, you want the transition to be smooth. And when we got that announcement now, like as was officially pushed out there, she already has her fingerprints all over the celebration. So all of the dual celebration with Golden Week, I'm pretty sure that's her. And as you can tell, for global, this is a pretty good celebration. Granted, a little rocky from the part 1 and part 2 stuff, whatever. But if you look at it as a whole, the celebration is actually very good. So just by that metric, like it's a very good thing for global, and that can explain, because that transition period existed, why January, February was a little dry for global, right? You know, everyone's asking where's the content, where's all that stuff. It's probably because there was a transition going from Sho to Kodo, and then here we are, right? So overall, it looks like it's going to be really good, and if she is taking cues to do a more joint stuff, that's pretty good. So look, for you global players, this is a good sign.
No, I definitely agree with you on that, for sure. Yeah, go ahead, Ningen.
I was just going to say, it's like, talk about a good, I mean, I know it's not literally a day, but like a good first day on the job. Like if this is, if she's mostly responsible for the way this celebration has turned out, or at least the way it's, come to global at the same time, which nobody expected. It's been something that we've talked about on podcast episodes and stuff. The fact that these units that come out around this time of year, normally obviously related to Golden Week, they take way too long to come out on global. The hype like completely dies out. And so no one was really expecting this year for it to be a celebration that came on both versions at the same time. And whilst, like Nolar said, there was a little bit of a rocky start just because for whatever reason they decided to delay announcing some of the things, even though they announced them all on global, on JP. So obviously everyone just kind of assumed that global was only getting half the content But then they've really turned it around in the second half. So it's I definitely think it means hopefully a sign of good things to come for the global side.
Definitely agree with you, Trucker. What about you? What are your thoughts, mate?
I am super excited for this. I think she did a fantastic job so far. The celebration, again, yeah, they could have handled it better with like having the news come out, but just in general, it's the best celebration Global's had. And GP is in by far the best year it's ever had because they had. So my theory was their new producer on JP as well couldn't really have taken over until the 6th year, and the last one had it all planned out until then because the 6th year was insane, and JP hasn't stopped being god tier. But before the 6th anniversary was kind of not great, and Global's been in that state as well. It's been not great. So I'm guessing same thing on JP. Kodo, I think her name is, right? The
Yes,
new producer.
that's
Couldn't really
new
have
producer
changed
for us.
much up until now. Like she already had like the ground plan laid down, and she couldn't change much up until Golden Week, which she hadn't planned out far enough ahead. So I'm hoping that by having a good producer on JP and one on Global, every celebration from now on, we're done with the major global shafts and whatnot and all the tomfoolery Global is used to, and we're getting the celebrations JP had from the 6th anniversary on, and we're going to be showing a lot more celebrations. Maybe we'll actually get the shared anniversary type things where it's a big celebration on JP in June, or June, July, August, whatever the anniversary is. Like, hey, it's anniversary on Global, and then when JP has theirs, Global also gets a big thing. So either maybe synced up versions, not really, maybe a couple behind, but major celebrations all year long on the same time frame. That's what I'm hoping for, because both producers seem pretty good now.
Let me jump in real quick. So the big thing is what I'm hoping for is so we got Worldwide coming up in August, right? And then November, when you guys normally have Golden Week, it's pretty empty, right? There's nothing there.
Yep.
I'm thinking it's going to be combined same time celebration for Dragon Ball Heroes Dokkan Fest. Like that's what I think they're trying to line up to do. So there's a lot of things, like if they could hit this thing where like basically every quarter there's some kind of combined celebration together. Not necessarily have to have the same thing, because like when Global usually has their anniversary, JP usually has like Tanabata, something around that nature. If they could just kind of combine it together in a way where it's like, oh, while JP has Tanabata, Global's got anniversary, and like something else, vice versa, that'll be pretty good. Now, one other point I want to hit off on was that both JP's producer and Global's producer have done well in their separate things. It's just syncing them together so that the news isn't leaked on one side and ruins it for the other side. They just need to do some work on that. But
in my okay,
Yeah.
so this is something that Ignan and I were discussing this an hour or two ago when the news started dropping. Is it do they have to adhere to that 1% or 10? Let's give it a bit more of an increase. The 10% of the audience that does pay attention to the JP player base, because more often than not, if you look at the average player base that doesn't really
You're right.
care about the content creator side of things or anything, they don't necessarily go onto the JP Twitter account to see this information, right? So do you really think it's valid for them to care about that 10% and not leak it?
About that, I think this was an issue
Or
of
not really leaking, but dropping it early on JP and then, yeah.
I think it was daylight savings time, actually, because JP usually doesn't drop stuff this early. When they did, it was like 7:30 my time. Normally they wait until a couple hours later.
Yep,
I'm
yep.
guessing they were probably told by the global people, like, hey, drop it at this time, please. And because of daylight savings time, which Japan has like no concept of for the most part, they're like, yeah, whatever, and they just went along with their whatever schedule. That's what I'm thinking happened. Daylight savings time might have messed it up, because they dropped it at like 7:30 exactly, I think, which would have been 30 minutes after Dokkan Now, which should have been the proper time zone. That's what I'm hoping happened. I'm hoping JP didn't just go ahead and be like, nice Dokkan Now, Global. Shame if I ruined it.
It's just that something that I always see people like, oh, this is such a global shaft. What's the point of watching Dokkan now? And it's like not 80-90% of the player base doesn't even know that Japanese Twitter exists and have no idea what is going on that version.
You're
of the
absolutely
game.
right.
You're
absolutely right.
I don't know why people can't grasp at that and act like everyone is active on Twitter and the YouTube community and stuff like we are. There's so many people that just downloaded the game off of Google Play one day. It's like, oh, this is a fun little stupid game to play here and there. Play it. They don't keep up with all the like super elite, like advanced stuff that we do, whatever you want
Content
to call it.
creators and all that
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
That like
Same
what
with
we-
They're
it's
not
the
as
same thing.
hardcore.
It's the same issue I have with even people complaining about, say, the data downloads. Like, I agree, it's kind of for as a person who's content creating and in the mix with all of you guys and like obviously the data miners and stuff like that. It is annoying when data downloads come like a day before like the big stream or something, but not everybody also pays attention to it. So I have to agree
Yeah.
with Iggy here on that
And
side.
with,
as
and with
well.
that one, we're not even supposed to be data mining the game to begin with.
Yeah, that's true.
not something they should have to account for.
Yeah.
I don't know why people put that against them as well. It's such a stupid thing to just like, oh, they should have put this in the data. Like, you're not supposed to be doing that. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
It's not their problem.
I think the social media side of it is something that I think that they should at least consider, especially because maybe not the JP side, like you said, because not everybody who plays global even knows that the JP version has a Twitter. I mean, some people, like, especially like I was a good example when I first started the game, some people that play global don't even know the JP version exists. But the global Twitter tweeted out the Super 17 info at the exact same time that the Dokkan Now dropped. So if you're somebody who was sitting waiting for the Dokkan Now to go live so you could watch it, who was super hyped to see what they were going to reveal, like we said, not everyone is necessarily on Twitter all the time, but just the fact that they dropped it, like if you had opened Twitter in a separate tab, because they obviously do their intro where the guy introduces himself and then they talked about the free-to-play Easy A's first, you'd have already seen all of the Super 17 info before they even got to it in the video, because they released it at the exact same time, which I think is really odd. I still enjoy watching the Dokkan Now things just to see them go into a little bit more detail, but I mean, you think they could at least wait like 10 minutes or something to actually tweet out the info,
that one
but...
I can't defend. I can't defend that one, but like usually people are always like, "Oh wow, global shaft, the JP already tweeted, blah 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 blah," and they're like, "That's not their issue."
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, just to answer your point there, Gail, I don't think they should take into account what the global and JP player base, like, it doesn't matter to them, like what Ignan says. The problem, I think, is if their plan is to execute it, combine at the joint celebration, they just failed at that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
I understand that perspective,
even if it's a daylight savings time issue, that's still a problem that they have, right? So either way, they need to fix that, and so that everyone can be hyped at the same time. Maybe spoil, not spoil it, whatever you want to say. It's just, it doesn't seem like good execution, and that just doesn't look good overall. But that's just, how I see them. Some of you guys just call it global shafts or whatever, but it doesn't really mean too much in the long run. But if their plan is to do stuff together, just work it out. And the thing is, this is emblematic of the fact that there are two different teams running it. There's a JP team and there's a global team. And the thing is, if you're gonna do a dual celebration, talk to each other. You know what I mean? So
they definitely don't communicate with each other, which is disappointing. But yeah.
You think about the number of us in 5-9 at the moment that are all in different time zones, and we somehow managed to arrange being like sorting out recording at the same time. You'd think the two teams could organize like tweeting info out and stuff at the same time, So
actually, this is actually a question I have, because I don't know much about the inherent parts of teams and stuff, especially for Dokkan and Legends in particular. I know for some other gachas how they organize their social media team, but for Dokkan and Legends, this is a question to both, because I assume they're operated in similar fashions. Is the social media team from Akatsuki themselves, or is it somebody they organize with Bandai and then Bandai lets Akatsuki know, like, okay, this is the feedback we've gotten from people or something like that? Do you have any idea on that, Malar?
With Dokkan and Legends, I'm not exactly sure, but from as it depends on the game, right? Because some games come from the devs and some games come from the publishers themselves, right? Mm-hmm, and so
exactly.
I'm not exactly sure how Dokkan does it, but global used to be strictly Facebook for a while, right? Now they just got into Twitter the last year, I want to say. So they're understanding. They're at least receptive to know what their audience is, aware with. But they're still slow on the uptake, right? So maybe by worldwide they'll know, but we'll figure it out then.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's one thing. I'm just like, is it just that the team does their own thing and they offhandedly tell the social media team, and is the social media the incompetent one in this whole situation? And Akatsuki aren't that bad actually, but is the social media team that's potentially like not being able to, like you say, be on the uptake when it comes to information like this, which would be
Yeah.
kind of bad. And then that means they should get replaced probably. But
Yeah, it's a whole other thing here, but
It's weird though, their social media team is actually active, which I find weird because they're active. They hide tweets a lot or replies to their tweets, but they don't, again, they don't care about, actually lining up things properly. It's great we have new producers, but there's still so many things that are just weird about how they handle everything. Like, they're active on social media, but they seem to also not be, like, at all.
Yeah, it's a bit confusing as to how it's operated. That's the biggest thing. The operation of the team is kind of weird. Like Legends seems a bit more straightforward because they pretty much talk about it during reveals and stuff, that they actually see everything and whatnot. But the problem I think here is obviously is like there's no that we don't get that A to B and B to A conversation between the Dokkan team and us pretty much, unfortunately.
yeah, I mean, 2 to 3 years ago, I know they talked to some content creators. I know they still kind of do. Well, actually, I don't even know if they do now, but back then they would get feedback through them. And I know with the Legends guys, those content creators, which they handpick, they do regular meetings with them to figure out, how the pulse of the community. So it seems like Akatsuki or Bandai are just strictly going off what they know instead of going deep into the community with content creators and whatnot. But hey, right now it's working out okay for them, so I can't blame them for doing what they're doing now. So
Yeah, that's the thing as well. Like, they don't really have to change much because they're still, I mean, yes, they're not getting the top grossings. I mean, that's a different topic for another day again. A topic that's been discussed many a times is obviously with Uma Musume and Genshin, all these gachas coming out and just smashing it out of the park in top grossing. But they're still up there in like the top 5s, top 10s easily. Even they've come out and publicly said that we don't really care that much what other gachas do. We're just doing our own thing and we're still making money. So it doesn't seem to them like they need to change much, right? So hence why they're maintaining the status quo, I suppose.
Yeah, it's just going to be one of those things. It's interesting to see what the future is going to hold, because after the last producer change, I know the pandemic, obviously, like you can argue, would have made a big impact on all sorts of aspects of development. But if anything, the takeaway is the fact that if this is like the first major thing that the new producer has been in charge of, I would say it's pretty unarguable that she's done a good job. So hopefully we can only see things get better from here on out.
Okay, so that's where we're going to wrap up. Anybody have any final thoughts that they want to add before we close out? Nolar, Troko, anyone?
no, the future looks bright for Global Dokkan.
Yep.
I have something.
Go for it.
Dokkan sucks. Download counter side instead.
No, stop. Cut that out.
All right.
We bash
all right,
Akatsuki, but it'll never be as bad as Crunchyroll games.
that is also
Yeah,
very
that
true.
is also very true.
You are not wrong there, but
Rest in peace,
there we have
Tactics.
it. Rest in peace, Tactics. Rest in peace. But there we go, guys. Let us know in the comments section. Let us know in the comment section down below, what do you guys think of this producer change? How do you think it'll affect it? What do you think of the performance she's had? If we assume she's taken over for this big celebration, of course. Leave a like if you want to see more content like this on 5ix9ine, and subscribe in general for more content from 5ix9ine. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you guys in the next one. Take it easy, everybody.